how many times God can descend a 7'6" Chinese man upon you in the NBA draft. And obviously, that was the year he decided to do it in my draft. This isn't a story about my accolades that I was able to get on the court or the fact that I was able to graduate Duke in 3 years. This is a story about how my life was headed down one path. And it was a path that I never really thought I was going to accomplish. That's the interesting part. For a guy who was lucky enough and fortunate enough to be two-time National Player of the Year, be the second pick in the draft, I was very insecure about myself personally. Even to the point where I remember asking my mom and my dad, hey, do you think I could be a top NBA draft pick? Do you think I could be a Hall of Famer one day? Do you think I could be first team All-NBA? I decided to go to a school like Duke University. I played my sophomore year there. I finally came on the scene. I played well. I had a chance to leave school sophomore year. I had a chance to be one of the top picks in the NBA draft. And it was one of the defining moments of my life. Because I remember I sat down with Coach K. I sat down with my mother and my father. And we had to go through the pros and the cons of leaving school early or staying. We went through both. And obviously the pros for staying in school outweighed the pros for leaving school at the time. And then Coach K said something to me. He said, a lot of coaches at that time would have tried to force your hand by saying, you need to come back, you're not ready. He said, hey, Jason, you're ready. You're ready to be a pro. But I dare you to be different. I dare you not to be the norm. I dare you to be the person who decides to blaze his own path. Be a pioneer. Make other people respect you for your decision. I went home that night, sat down with mom and my dad the next day after thinking, and said, you know, I'm going to stay in school. I'm going to stay in school. And the reason why I want to stay in school is because not only do I want to be the first pick in the NBA draft next year, I know I could have been it this year, but I'm going to graduate school early. I went to the NBA, and people just didn't care. It blew my mind. My overall record in college was 95-13. I lost 13 games in 3 years. I lost 13 games my first 3.5 weeks in the NBA. But by the way, not only was I losing games, but I'm the one guy where I'm like, hey, you know, I'm going against Allen Iverson. I'm going against Jason Kidd. I'm going against Gilbert Arenas. I'm going against all these big-time players. I want to win every single game. Where some of my teammates were just concerned about, I just collected my check for $25,000. Oh, hey, there's a beautiful girl over there in the stands. Let me go send the ball boy to talk to her. The culture was so different that I had a hard time relating, right? And I got caught up into the culture for a minute because I didn't know how to adapt to it. Until one game, I was the only point guard on our team at that time, so I had to start. And we were playing against the New Jersey Nets. We were going against my idol, Jason Kidd, okay? And I was so pumped up. I'm like, you know what? I prepared for this moment. We're going to be different. We're going to be different. I finished that game with 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 14 assists. Right? First player in Chicago to have a triple-double since Michael Jordan. By the way, I was the first player since Michael Jordan left to sit in Michael Jordan's locker, which I got reamed out for and berated for by the fans. But it was okay, because I felt like I needed to do things to change the culture. I wanted us to be different. I didn't want us to settle for mediocrity. You sign a clause with the NBA, you're not allowed to go in a hot air balloon, you're not allowed to go jet skiing. If you're caught going, you know, over 100 miles an hour in a car, you can be fined, you know, $20,000. All these rules and regulations. But I never had a chance to live life while I was in college or while I was in high school because I was always staying so busy to try to be better. Whereas all of a sudden now, NBA season was over in April, and we didn't have anything to do until October of next year. So what did I do? I bought a motorcycle, right? By the way, I'll tell you how life was at the time and where life went to in a heartbeat. Life was one moment, driving down I-90, seeing a billboard in your face on I-90 saying, oh my God, I have accomplished my dreams. I have made it. Bought my mom a house, bought my mom jewelry, had a business, had cars. It's something that we all dream of, right? You got a chance to give back. I was at charity events early. I was hanging out with kids. I would go to the Ronald McDonald house, trying to do everything to the best of my ability to live that life, but also give back. But then when I had free time, I got into riding motorcycles. And at the time, it's easy to sit here and say, oh, why would you ride a motorcycle? A lot of guys in the NBA rode motorcycles. A lot of guys rode. Kobe rode, Shaq rode. There were times that I would ride with my head coach, Bill Cartwright. And I'll never forget the day that the season was over, and I was riding right down the street, and I was on my bike going around 30 miles an hour. And I was right by my friend's house, and my friend was outside. At the time, my bike was red and black, the colors of the Chicago Bulls. I just got this new exhaust on my bike. I didn't have a helmet on. I didn't have a jacket on. Not that I felt that I was invincible, but I got caught up in the moment. I got caught up in the moment of just thinking that I made it. It was it. And I revved the bike twice. I put the bike into neutral, revved it twice. It revved fine. On the third rev, the bike slipped gears. Next thing you know, I'm popping a wheelie. It's going from 20 miles an hour to 60 miles an hour. At the last second, I look up. I see a utility pole going directly towards the utility pole. I see the utility pole coming at me so fast that I try to turn the bike at the last second to hopefully miss the utility pole. I hit the utility pole. The utility pole hits the left side of my body. It clips me off the bike. So surreal that at that moment, my body's spinning in the air. And I'm thinking to myself, it feels like forever that I'm spinning in the air, that I've lived this before. I've seen this before. I've experienced this before. And the last second, I see a red fire hydrant. And as I land, my chest is on the pavement as if I'm laying on my stomach, but my legs are up on the curb as if I'm laying on my side. It's as if somebody poured a whole bunch of water all over your body from your chest down. And you keep wiping yourself. You keep looking at your hands, but you don't see any liquid. That's what I felt. It was so sad. It was like a soap. I had 3 metal pins in my left leg. 3 metal pins attached in my left leg, holding my leg up like this. I had 2 metal rods that came out of my pelvis on each side, into my pelvis, that came up like this, and then there was a halo effect because there were 2 bars that connected to each end of the bar that connected on top that I could rest my hands on. And I had a tube down my throat. And I woke up to hearing a beeping sound. And what the hell just happened? I dislocated my knee. It tore my ACL, my PCL, my LCL, my MCL. I shattered my pelvis into multiple pieces. I tore my peroneal nerve, which if you can see as I'm walking around, I still have a difficult time picking my left foot up. Your peroneal nerve gives your body the ability to pull your foot up and down. Okay? I did all this to myself. After spending 3.5 months in the hospital, after going through 13 plus surgeries a year later, we talk about reinvention. Right? We talk about not letting some of the past things that you do define you, but letting this moment right now define who you are and who you're going to be. I've had countless amounts of people tell me that they didn't think I would ever be able to walk again. After a 1.5 years of therapy, I finally walked. And I remember saying to myself, you know what? You're damn right I walk. I'm going to prove somebody wrong. About 4.5 months later, I was able to jog. About 2.5 years later, I was finally able to run. One of the best moments of my life after going through therapy 2 times a day for 2.5 years, going to countless amounts of therapy because I tried to kill myself twice. After being addicted to Oxycontin, because it was the only thing to dull away the pain, I finally made it back to an NBA court. And I was only able to do that because I had people around me who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Every day of my life, that I have to try to pick myself up and be strong. Because every day of my life, I have somebody come up to me, whether it be in a good way or in a malicious way, that says something to me. I had 2 guys come up to me and say something to me this morning. As I pulled up to the hotel, one of the guys came out. He's like, I read your story in the New York Times. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I'm so sorry for you, man. You had it all. Now, he meant this in the best way. I'm so sorry for you. You had it all. And for me, 5 years ago, I would have been pissed off about that. I had it all. What are you talking about? I said to him today, I was like, you know what? That's where you don't get it. I have it all. Because I'm here. And I have a second chance to make the best out of today. Another guy, last night I'm on TV, and we're talking about Duke is playing UVA this Thursday, okay? And I said, Duke is going to win this game because A, B, C, D, and E. Some fans across Twitter, I wish I could put my Twitter feed up right now so you guys can see what I go through on a daily basis. And I wouldn't be on Twitter if I didn't have to be, okay? I'm part of the media now. But I can say one comment. I can say, love the way you're that's a really nice tie. And somebody say, you have no idea what you're talking about. Why don't you go kill yourself in a motorcycle? People say the most nasty things. But you know what? I'm so much more than basketball. I am so much